Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be where you're at. I am Power Girl. You are watching Keeper the Flame podcast, and it is our special 4th of July Independence Day extravaganza. And this is our main event. We are here with Humboldt Truth Teller here in our local studio, Power Girl Productions in McKinleyville, California, at the edge of the world on the Lost Coast behind the Redwood Curtain. And I have one of the most enigmatic characters here in Humboldt. Humboldt Truth Teller, this is Justin. Justin, say hello.
Yeah, hi everybody. I guess I'm here to tell my story about overcoming cancer. Excuse me, a few years back. So Christina will ask me some questions and we'll tell the story.
Let me introduce you. So anyway, Justin came to us actually on his birthday, which I thought was pretty incredible. We met officially at the HFC Honkening. You had your table out there, and I was, as most people are when they meet the clown nose guy, I was I was elated that I finally got to meet Justin, because at that point his reputation had already preceded him, and I was dying to know who this guy was. So I was pleasantly pleased to meet Justin, and actually Gary and I have been spending quite a bit of time with him since then, and that was in early March, and I think it was late February that we met at the Honkening, and it's just been an absolute delight. He's become a very dear friend and even a brother, and we just love to have him here as much as we possibly can. And I just wanted to share him with you, but he does have a very unique, and you'll hear from him more. This isn't the last time, but he also has a very unique story. So a lot of people I know have battled and dealt with cancer on different levels and in different ways, and not all of them have won those fights. So I thought it was a very unique story to hear that Justin was able to actually overcome thyroid cancer. And it sounds like you had to be a little bit brave about it, because I mean, what did you do when the doctor? So let's start with your, what is it, a prognosis or
Start from the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think about 2013. I find myself living outside Austin, Texas, with some family on a ranch because I was getting progressively more ill, and we weren't sure why. I did have
things were going on.
I had a mass in my neck, so I was aware of that. But it was like severe fatigue was the biggest thing. Like I just felt like I was dying. I just felt wiped out. And so I finally saw a decent doctor in Texas, and they did an ultrasound on my neck, and they said, "Yeah, it looks very vascular. It's very likely a cancer." And I said, "Well, I don't want you to biopsy me or do any more tests, because I was concerned they might aggravate it, for all I knew." And I told the doctor that I was going to move back to California and use cannabis oil and nutrition to fight my cancer. And he told me that, he said, this is over the phone, and he says, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And if you do that, you're going to die. And I had every reason to believe him, at least, like culturally, everyone in my family, everything pointed to trust the doctor. Um, but I've always been suspicious of doctors in the mainstream, and um, before I got sick, some cancer information came my way. I started to learn about different modalities and some of the cancer fraud that exists in our world, where they use barbaric treatments for things that could be cured through detox and nutrition. And so when he told me I was going to die, and I said, well, I'm going to do it anyway, I really had like a deep core feeling of confidence, that I knew I was on the right track. And it wasn't anything I had felt before. It wasn't exciting. It was more peaceful. It was just like a solid, peaceful kind of. Yeah. And yeah, and then I got on Craigslist the next day, looked for a ride share, because at this point I was out of money. I was too sick to work. I had lost my business in Reading.
You're still in Austin?
Yeah, I'm in Austin, and so I find a ride share Austin to Sacramento. It was a miracle. I just type it in, and one comes up. There's one person about to leave, and so he took me all the way there. And the guy turned out to be like a natural healing minded person, and so we were able to talk about my situation the whole time. So it was like everything was like every step was laid out for me. Then I made it up to Northern California, and I lived on the cannabis farms, in southern Humboldt, and started to learn about Rick Simpson and nutrition and detox. I still didn't know very much at this point, and I lived on the farms for about a year um, with a mass in my neck, and I was getting healthier. I was getting stronger. Other things wrong in my body were getting better, but the main tumor didn't shrink. And so my doctor, the surgeon in Fortuna, um, a lot of times surgeons follow thyroid cancer because it's a very easily treated cancer. That was part of my decision making process. Even though the doctor said I was going to die, I was confident that the thyroid tumor was slow growing and that I could, try to tackle it naturally without it killing me next week. Um, but so the surgeon who followed the thyroid cancer in Fortuna, she said, "Well, you've waited a year. Why don't we cut it out, and then we could talk about doing other stuff if you want to?" And I said, "Okay, fine, let's cut it out." And excuse me. So we did. I went under the knife. She did the surgery, took out the big tumor that was growing up under my jaw here, and uh, then 9 months later, I was convinced to take a radiation treatment for the cancer, and that made me really sick. It was a bad experience. I don't know, the radiation made me sick. I think it was a pill, but they also gave me a shot, 2 shots to deplete my thyroid hormone and to make the radiation more effective. And that might have been why I felt so sick. Long story short, a year and a half after the radiation treatment, they told me the cancer was back. I had been scanned every 3 months since the last treatment, and they said over the last 3 scans over 9 months, we've been watching the tumor grow. And based on your blood work, because it's a thyroid cancer, we're confident that it's an aggressive cancer, and we're not able to treat you in Humboldt County anymore. We don't have the technology, so you need to go to Santa Rosa or somewhere else. And I ended up going down to Sacramento and um, getting on at UC Davis, which is a university hospital, right? So they'll do it for free. And it took about 3 months for the surgery to happen. And in those 3 months, I consumed about 80 grams of Rick Simpson oil. I sauna every day. I took high dose vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C. I had a chaga mushroom I'd make tea from. I did a lot of juice fasting, a lot of smoothies. And yeah, I took a lot of cannabis. And so I took it in capsule form. The Rick Simpson oil I put into capsules. I would eat the oil just straight in my mouth too, and I also had made suppositories, which is a very effective way to take a very high dose.
That's for sure.
Of cannabis. And so I went under the knife again, and they couldn't find the cancer that they saw on the scan. And after I recovered and I went back and spoke to the surgeon, uh, I said, "So did I cure myself?" And because it's a learning hospital, there was 2 surgeons. There was the instructor and his student. And the instructor, he said, "No way you cured yourself. You didn't reverse the cancer. It's just all the scans over all those months and all the blood work were errors." That's where his head was. All right, everyone along the way had made mistakes, and that's why I was there. But he was still glad we did the surgery, is what he told me. Then he left the room, and the young surgeon, he said, "No, it's very likely you cured yourself." He said, "My mom's into natural healing, and it's possible." So I think I did. I think it's very likely I did. and I've seen other people address cancer with cannabis oil as their main tool against it, but also using nutrition and detox and other things, whether it's Ayurvedic practices or Chinese traditional medicine or just Western style, naturopathic medicine. I've seen
like
a lot
the
of
Gerson therapy. Yeah.
Gerson therapy is one that I know is effective, and
Yeah, so that's a big deal to look your doctor in the eye and say that, and then hear what you heard, which it's I guess it's understandable because that's the way they think. They're very tunnel visioned.
yeah,
But
he was trying to help me. He
yeah,
thought if
of
he
course,
scared me, I would do what he thought was right.
because that's what they think is right. Right, exactly. Yeah. So wow, that's so you were doing all this traveling from Austin, Texas to Sacramento to Humboldt, back and forth. And how long did it last? Over a period of how long?
Um, I think I was finally told the cancer was gone 2016, 2017,
Uh-huh.
somewhere in there. And yeah,
And then when did you hear about it? When did you find out about it? How much longer? I mean, before that.
I was 30 years old when I first heard about it. I'm 39 now. And
So you were going through this for years. This is multiple years of going back and forth. Yeah, and I'm familiar with that dance. I did that with my mom for 4 years. And they did the radiation and this. They did no surgeries the second time around because it was of the nature of it. That yeah, just the radiation because it was going into organs. So yeah, and so how did it affect your? I mean, that seems like a lot to be doing in that period of time. The traveling, it must have been really wearisome to go through all that.
Yeah, it was challenging.
And did you have any? Did you have a support system? Did you have a?
When I got to Humboldt, I had a friend here, and his group of friends took me in and really were very kind to me. My friends in Salmon Creek. Uh, One farmer who was a friend of a friend at the time, he heard I had cancer and I was fighting it naturally, and he went to the car and retrieved several $1,000s in cash and just gave it to me. He said, "Here, this is for your cancer." And so,
Yeah, that's honestly the thing that really struck me about Humboldt was the people. That was my biggest reason for moving here was the people, and they didn't disappoint after the 2 years I was in the field and working with them. Very gracious, always apologizing. I've never seen a group of people apologize so much. And yeah, they're just really, really sweet people. So this is definitely the kind of community that can come together like that. So
yeah, I was really lucky to have those people around me, and like one friend, she took me to all my doctor's appointments.
wow.
It was pretty amazing that she could do it, and she did.
I mean, you generate that kind of devotion because you have such a big heart, Justin. It's been my experience. You're kind of easy to.
It's how I see the world. I do think we should help each other.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's easy to
it's
do that
reciprocal.
because of your graciousness, because of your gratitude. I can tell you a little bit of what I know about Justin. We have, since I've met him, I was experiencing a unique situation that I hadn't dealt with in quite some time. And Justin provided to me at the time um, a very unique gift in that he gave me a perfect reflection pool for me to mirror another's behavior and see the level of ability if someone actually applies themselves and is stays out of blaming others. And I mean, Justin, I think to me what I saw over the last 3 months, how long has it been? Yeah, it's been actually 4 months now, Justin. Wow, it's been 4 months. um, the turning point was losing Precious.
Mm, yes, my little dog, she died. It's very sad. She's buried in the backyard here, Precious. And
She found a way to stay.
I mean, that's really the next part of the story that's very interesting. And so it's like with the whole um, pandemic situation over the past couple of years, I've been a rebel. I've been an activist, and I've made a lot of waves and gotten in a lot of trouble, and made enemies and made friends, and um, done what I thought was right, and in that process, I really slipped out of society. I didn't know where to begin with all the separation and all the hoops and all the things that I wouldn't participate in. Um,
I
so
mean,
I
what you said, demonstrate the moment that you knew we were in trouble. Because that to me was a very profound, when you described that to me, I think you were at the bank, you said, and people were.
Oh well, I mean, because of the censorship on this platform, it's not really the easiest story to tell. But I'll tell you this: when I saw the people conforming to the current, the new restrictions for the new normal, um, I knew we were in a lot of trouble. Because I hadn't really seen, like, it was pretty quickly how fast people in Humboldt were like, "Yes,
fell in line.
we'll do anything you'll tell us." Yes,
Right.
of course,
Without question.
and we'll viciously attack those who don't. Right, and and that's a reality of it, is the division and the how hard it is to be attacked in stores constantly when it's built on a lie, right? And it's like you're speaking, but you don't have a voice because they can't hear you because they're so brainwashed, right? And or afraid or whatever, wherever they're at, but they're pushing the agenda for someone else and they don't know why. And you're trying to say, no, this isn't right. And they're like, get out of the store, you worthless piece of
And then
crap.
the irony is you're doing it for them because they're the ones that are wearing the mask, the device for 8 to 10 hours a day. I genuinely worry about people that have gone for so long,
Yeah.
um, like that. That's not. Again, I say it all the time. To me, it's completely antithetical to the way your internal combustion engine works. You need an exhaust system. This is what your mouth is supposed to do. It's supposed to be your exhaust as well as your inhalation. You need to take in oxygen in order for your immune system to work properly.
Right. It's
And
like with cancer, if I may.
yes,
Cancer's, toxicity and deficiency, right? And exhalation is a main detox
and
channel.
acidity, right?
Acidity, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
cancer likes an acidic environment is one way people look at it. But the restricting exhalation, um, it's like what the reason your breath stinks when you drink alcohol, right? It smells like alcohol, is not because you put alcohol in your mouth and now the alcohol's on it. It's because your liver can't process a lot of those chemicals, and so they're coming through your lungs for detoxification, right? So by blocking that, it's the stupidest thing, and it's just so many millions, if not billions, of people are in this cult. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I had become homeless during the pandemic, and my life was really um,
Upside down.
fraught with challenges. Right, there was a lot of things I had to confront, and I had my little dog, and I kept a pretty good attitude, and I made sure we always had fun. But it was hard, and it wasn't like hard because I was sitting there crying and feeling bad, but it was hard because I was sitting there trying to put a puzzle together that I couldn't figure out.
You're trying to make something that didn't make sense make sense.
Right. And so um, it's like the end of February. Um, I'm like a new Christian. I'm new to following Christian teachings. Right. I've always had a mind towards God, and I've always had a spiritual, like, student side to me. But towards the end of February, a few things had happened, right? Like a year prior, someone at the gym, in the locker room, in the sauna, we were talking about politics and the world and everything, and he thought I was a good person, and he caught me in the parking lot, and he said, "Hey man, I want you to maybe think about coming to my church," and he gave me the card to his church, and I was kind of like, "Yeah, sure," and I just lost the card, and then another guy who happened to be in the sauna too. Same deal. He's like, hey, you should. This is months later. Hey, you should come to our church, and he gives me the card, and it's the same church. And then
What? Different guy?
right, different guy.
Oh my god!
And then February this year, I'm panhandling, right? Because that's one of my
I'm sure.
things I
I'm
was
sure it was
doing.
just a figment of your imagination, Justin.
Well, right. Those who know. And so I'm panhandling, right? My thing was I had a sign that said anything helps, let's go Brandon on it, just because I can't stop. So,
he's salty. We're all salty around here.
And I didn't want any dirty money, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so a guy pulls up in his truck, a little old man. He rolls his window down. He's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "What?" Because I don't know if he's gonna want to fight me or give me some money, right? And so he says, "I don't have any money for you, but I have this card." And it was a card to the church. It was the same. It was the third time, right? And so the next day, I'm in the sauna, getting ready. It's Sunday now, Sunday morning, and I'm getting ready to go panhandle again because I gotta pay my car insurance or whatever. And the second guy who gave me the card was in the sauna, and he says, "You should."
Stalking you.
He says, "You should come to church today." And I was like, "You know what? I got to go out and panhandle. I have to make this money." And then it dawned on me. I said, well, maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way. Maybe this grasping for this change on the corner isn't the way I fix this. And maybe going to this church might show me a new path. And so I did. I put on the least raggedy clothes I had and I went to a church. And then pretty shortly after, I'm having trouble remembering the exact sequence of events, but it was pretty amazing.
A lot has happened in the last 4 months.
I go to church twice. My dog dies on a Wednesday. Suddenly, she has like a stroke. I don't know if it was
out of nowhere
because she was pet by somebody who took or I don't know why, but I don't think that's what it is. It's probably old age. She was an old dog. She had a good life. But she died on a Wednesday. That night I went to a church event and I told my story to some of the guys there. And one of them said, hey, I know somebody who might have a room for you. So the next day I had found a home, right? So I lose my dog. The next day I'm in a home. And the next day after that I have work. And so my life...
Let me stop you right there. Because there is a part that you might be forgetting. Because we were standing in the backyard and we had just laid her to rest and laid the stones in place to protect her. And you looked at me and you said, I think this is going to be the beginning of a new chapter in my life.
Absolutely. No, I knew it was. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a good point.
And that is when I saw your character. That is when I realized where somebody could be. And I felt that my energies were best spent with someone with that perspective. Because to take a situation like the death of your dog, and I was touched. I mean, it broke my heart. I fell in love with her. I only knew her a couple months. But for you to be able to make that quick, and I could see it in your eyes that you were clear in your heart, that it wasn't something that you, and then you went out and did it. So that's a huge, to me, not just the amazing story of beating the cancer, but also just what I've seen you do in the last 4 months has been absolutely astounding. And in the meantime, it's just been a blast hanging out with you. You've got a great personality. You always have a fresh perspective.
Well, I was really lucky to have met Christina and her friend here, her partner, and come into this circle of people. I mean, if you know who we are, it's like this should have happened a long time ago.
I know it should have happened a lot, but I mean, we've all been going through the throes. I've been going through very similar. Isolation has become something, for the truth teller that unfortunately we have to live with. And I have a whole slew of Facebook friends that are going through the same thing. It's like they're losing, the people that they love dearly, but at the same time they're gaining a whole new tribe. And that's what I'm hoping to do here at Humboldt. That's what we're trying to do here at Rainbow's End, our little piece of property that we have here. We're just trying to create a community and experiences that are enjoyable for people, that where they can come and relax and be themselves and not feel bombarded by, the vapid lifestyle of what you see on mainstream in whatever genre, whether it be the news or whether it be entertainment or whether it be the music. I mean, it's hard for it to watch any of that. I don't know how people still pay for Netflix, but I digress. But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create some programming that is interesting and educational. And it was such, your story, your cancer story was so in line with what recently happened with Gary. When I was trying to do this with the Stand Up Humboldt group, at that same time, we were finding out that Gary's brother was diagnosed with skin cancer. And so I told him sheepishly about Gerson therapy, not thinking for a minute that he would take it seriously, because I've told so many people about that therapy, and he is the first person that took it. And actually, I have to give a shout out to Julia, because Julia is the one that did all the work. She went out there, his beautiful little Korean wife, who I absolutely adore. My grandparents spent years in Korea. I grew up around Koreans, eating Korean food. The Korean culture has always been a very special thing for me and my family. And Julia has become a sister-in-law, and she's absolutely one of my favorite woodcuts. She's actually one of my favorites, and I love her to death. And to see her step up to the plate in such a huge way, and I mean, it's a lot of work. So maybe that's what it is that steers people away. But all I can say is he did do the conventional, that was suggested by the doctor. But because he did the Gerson and he did the fasting and he did all the live food and all that, he did not lose his hair. So, and he looks amazing. Both of them did the same diet together. And I told them when I saw them at Easter, their skin was clear. They'd lost a bunch of weight. I'm fixing to get back into that lifestyle. This last 3 years has completely knocked me off of my horse, but I'm ready to get back on, because I miss that. I miss having that, energy. And maybe we can do something like that together. We can do some kind of a fast. I want to do some kind of a fast here coming up pretty soon. I'm starting to feel my body again. It's hard to do that stuff, right? It takes some concentration.
Yeah, logistically, it takes some effort, and
Yeah,
it takes willpower. I did a 21-day juice fast, and it was tough. But once I got in the groove of it, like
it gets
day
easier.
day 7 or
Yeah,
8, it's
exactly.
just like the lifestyle now. The hardest part, the thing I hated, was cleaning the juicer all the time.
Yeah.
I was so tired of this. Like, I'd see the juicer and I'd be like, "Oh, you." Um, but it works, and it's
It
good.
sure does, and it's a great way to reset. And I could definitely use it myself. I'm pretty good about my toxic load, but lately I have been turning to food for comfort, and it's just I've been letting myself do that because I've been going through hell. We've all been going through hell. I tell people, the food that you're eating, in my opinion, if you think of Masaru Emoto, who talks about the crystallizations of water and how powerful the words are that come out of your mouth and the imprint that it leaves on your body, considering that we're 70% water, that's you want to enjoy your food when you're eating it. So even when
Yep.
you're doing something that you don't particularly agree with, and maybe it's not the best thing for you, I would definitely not beat yourself up about it, because that imprint is much more dangerous for your body. So
And consider prayer. It's a
yeah,
great idea to pray over your food.
that's you know what we do that here for sure. So it's a really good idea to pray over your food, especially with everything going on. And
And question the people who sell you fear about your food. I
yes.
think, because I had to think really hard about food, and I fell victim to a lot of the food propaganda, the fear porn, and I mean, the food supply is toxic, and we have to be smart about it, of course. But I think being stressed out about your food is as harmful as the pesticides.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and we get pesticides. The other thing I did was not just cleaning my food. I did that for years, but then a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, um, showed me how to get chemical free in the home. And so now we're cleaning with essential oils. That was, you mentioned how the kitchen smelled the other day when I used the peppermint oil, and we do that to protect against spiders. The spiders don't like the peppermint oil. The fleas don't like the peppermint oil, and it's just a way to abate, and it. it's actually wonderful. And when you get around chemicals, you realize, oh wow, it's strong where you wouldn't notice it if you were around it all the time. So
Yeah, those chemicals are super lame. I use the sauna a lot, and it's a public sauna at a gym. And guys come in and they're like coated in fabric softener, and it just fills
yeah,
up
you
the
can
whole
smell it, huh?
place, and it just ruins the experience. They got to get out, and you can't explain it to people because
No.
it'll offend them, and it's in their blind spot. They don't even know those chemicals are bad at this point in the game, and so
Right.
and it's such a big part of the system. The system thrives on having people who don't know yet all the dirty tricks. Right? They're like, come here so we can exploit you and trick you and sell you fabric softener and all this crap you don't need,
Fabric softener. Oh my
and use
gosh,
you.
guys, I got the greatest fabric softener. You're going to have to check out Humboldt Homegrown real soon because we're going to have to do the bone broth video. Justin's going to help me show you guys how to make bone broth. It's one of my favorite things to make. Justin and I make it together. And at the same time, I will show you my new trick. I love the air freshener trick with the vinegar
You
and
showed me
essential
it's a cool
oils.
idea. It works.
It's just vinegar and essential oils and a washcloth, and you just wring it out and throw it in, and it just is so much better than a paper dryer sheet, and it doesn't go in the landfill, right? It's just your washcloth. So yeah, it's fantastic. So we do stuff like that on Humble Homegrown. All kinds of fun stuff. We're trying to do a farm to table thing around here, and we grow a little bit. We don't have a whole lot, but because we're super amateurs about it, just like we are with our media. But we figure the more we do it, and the more we practice, the better at it we get. So that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, I mean, we got to start somewhere, and our biggest tool in this game is our humanity. Just being real. That's how I see it. Mistakes and triumphs.
Yep, we got to stick together. We can't do this. No one person or even three people can do it alone. We're trying to build something of a community here, a loose knit community where I really just want a place where people can come and relax. Um, we try to do that Friday Night Live. That was a lot of fun where we do a little podcast with a bonfire and we do some exposure stuff and videos. We're thinking about doing a thing on Disney here right around the corner. Probably not in July because we've done this big extravaganza thing, but hope you enjoyed the video that preceded us. But anyway, so yeah, so we're trying to do things more and more here, and then hopefully, if we can actually get some attention around here local, because there is actually a pretty good, decent freedom movement around here. We just can't seem to get together for some reason. So I'm hoping if we can just do something a little bit more fun and entertaining, maybe that will encourage people to get together. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Nothing else. Like I said, if it's just the four of us, we have a great time between me, Jess, and Gary and Aaron. We have a pretty good time.
Yeah,
so.
and there's the internet community too. That's
Exactly.
just beginning to build, and we're very thankful for everybody watching this video. And feel free to leave a comment if you want to see us go on a juice fast. If you want to see bone broth videos. If there's any questions you have about cancer, maybe we could answer it. We're not doctors. We're just human beings.
We can always research it.
But we can research it and we can help.
Yeah, and if there's some place you want us to explore in Humboldt, let us know in the comments for sure. We're trying to create this as a Humboldt space, and we're proud of our little swatch of land here, and we just want to uplift it and the people here. We're very passionate, all very passionate about that. So,
for some references, if you're dealing with cancer right now or you have a loved one that is, there's the chrisbeatcancer.com, which is a great website for interviews and testimonials. And we'll put these in the show notes. So chrisbeatcancer.com is great. Cancer Control Society, if they're still up, these are things you have to search directly. You can't just put a vague search in because Google hides all this stuff now. And Cancer Control Society, cancertutor.com, and Cannabis Health Radio. On Cannabis Health Radio, you could find dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of examples of people telling their story of how they healed themselves, mostly of cancer, but of everything from trauma to opioid addiction to, I saw a headline today on their site, a man healed 4 different cancers in his body that he had at one time, and opioid addiction using cannabis oil. And when I went through cannabis, one of the main ways that I coped was to do, or excuse me, when I went through cancer, one of the main ways I coped was to do research and to hear testimonials and to try to knit together commonalities to make a story that made sense. Some of the things I heard, I didn't do. Like I didn't drink baking soda. I didn't do other things, but I did some of them.
Right.
And so, yeah,
Right, and you don't have to be fighting cancer to consider some of these things. And I always tell people anything you do towards that vibrant lifestyle is better than doing nothing at all. So even if it's just a baby step here and a baby step there, and when I start to really wean myself off of where I am right now, like I'll start with something simple like no more candy, or no more sugar. Or maybe no more sugar is a big one right at first. So whatever little thing I can give up for maybe just a few, maybe like a month, 30 days, or whatever it takes. But, little baby steps here and there. And the next thing you know, you can take on more and more and more, just like we're doing here with the media. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to Justin. You will be seeing more of him. I'm going to try to get him involved because he's so much fun in the kitchen. He does all kinds of fun stuff. You do the fermented stuff and the slaw, or what do you call it? The sauerkraut and all kinds of fun stuff. So we definitely are going to be collaborating a whole lot more, and I'm very grateful that you came and told your story.
well,
Thank
thanks
you for
for having
coming.
me. Yeah, and check me out on Humboldt Truth Teller on BitChute. All one word, Humboldt Truth Teller, capital each word. It's a terrible name to search, but if you want it, you'll find it.
Like
So,
Power Girl Production.
yeah. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Yes, definitely put a link for his YouTube and for his BitChute. Have you been doing anything with YouTube or not at all?
No, I
We're
let
all
a
kind of
friend.
moving away.
I let a dear friend Deanna use it
Oh, okay.
for a long time, and she does
That's
a lot
right.
of great work. Stand Up Humboldt is her deal,
Yes.
and she's a powerhouse in this community. And she's
She
someone
really is.
who is really kind to me too. So
Yeah, she has a couple of different channels, and if you go to her Deanna Hardwick, DiannaHardwick, if you go to that one, she will direct you to the others. And yeah, Stand Up Humble, and maybe she works on a Stand Up Humble 3. But anyway, if you go to the Deanna, she does a pretty good job of leading you down the path because she has to constantly dodge the censors.
oh, they ban her all the time because she tells the truth.
Right. Yeah,
And she's
every
not
day
afraid
she
of
shows up
nobody.
every single day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's our live queen. She is a hoot to watch. She's a blast to work with, and I always enjoy the live streams with Deanna. She's full of piss and vinegar. She's truly humble. She's small business, and we're big fans of her. So
Yeah,
we're all fans of each other around
here. A lot
here.
of integrity there.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, and the Hardwick Homestead altogether. Yeah, they're just
yeah.
amazing people, and we're grateful to know them. So, yeah, so anyway, I'm starting to hear the pops coming off, and we are going to switch over, just for our own ease, we're going to switch over to a Facebook Live so that we can all go mobile. And I think I'm going to try to get two different perspectives. Well, maybe not. Aaron said he couldn't either because he's being restricted as well.
He got banned because he tells the truth, too.
Yeah, so I tell the truth, but I do it under the radar. So I don't know how I stay away from the censors, but I do get restricted every once in a while. But for the most part, I'm still doing okay. So we will do Facebook Live from my phone. Hopefully it's not dead, guys. We'll do the best we can. So we can show you the fireworks we got. We're really excited. We got a lot of fun stuff. We're going to act like kids out there. And so meet us on Facebook Live. If you're not following Power Girl Productions and Christina Gers on Facebook, what are you waiting for? All right, guys, you take care. Thanks, Jess. Thanks for coming around. And he will be back, I promise. All right, guys, we'll see you real soon.